Hello, welcome to AirJobBoss. I am the AirJobBoss, and you're here on AirJobBoss TV. And today is a continuation of our airline interview question and answer preparation. I don't know. Today's question is, what are your personal signs of stress and how do you cope with it? All right. What are they asking about here? It almost sounds like they're asking about your private life. But they're not. I don't know if you heard that little grumble. Anyway, they're asking you about how you cope with stress in the cockpit, on the job, right? They're asking it in a way that it seems like your personal life so that it's more emotional, and it is not an emotional question. This is a question about mechanics. This is a question about understanding stress, being able to detect stress in yourself, and then incorporating coping mechanisms that have been proven, following those coping mechanisms to reduce your level of stress so your ability to cognitively think, make decisions, and communicate with others remains intact under stressful situations, which is a core competency of airline pilots. What if we got stressed out and we decided we were going to give up, remove ourselves from the situation, detract and go and rest? We can't do that as airline pilots. When times are most difficult, we are called upon to be at our very best. What's important about that process is that you have ability to cope with stress, and in this case, state how you do it. Now, here are some things that how pilots mitigate stress. One is the slowing down of the aircraft's forward movement. So you could say, well, in the aircraft, if I find myself stressed, which comes from task or time saturation, I try to do two things. One, I try to slow the aircraft down. The other is I try to delegate tasks. Oh my gosh, those are like, boom, big aviation terms, 100% answer. And if you stopped right there, you'd probably get the job, because those are really what you need to do. In times when the aircraft is moving too fast or the workload is too high, you've got to slow the aircraft down and delegate tasks. Secondly, now you're going to go, secondly, gathering more information or validating the circumstance allows me to find a solution, and finding a solution lowers stress. Can you imagine if you had the prospect of making $1 million in a week? There is really no solution. But if you needed to come up with $1,000 at the end of the week, the first thing you were stressed about, the first thing you're going to do is find a way to do it. Once you have the solution, all the stress is gone. You don't even have the $1,000 yet, but you got the solution. At least you can identify the problem. So you're going to say, whenever I'm stressed, I'm going to identify the problem that I'm dealing with. And as soon as I can, I'm going to find a solution that I can start working out a plan to accomplish the solution. I find this lowers my stress. This is exactly what pilots need to do. This is who they're trying to hire. They don't want someone who cowers under stress, goes in their bedroom and takes a three-day nap, okay? All right. Additionally, in order to find solutions during the times that I'm stressed, I need to put together good communication skills in order to gather information to make a proper decision. I find that when I'm stressed, if I can identify the problem by using communication skills with the people around me, or reading the aircraft state or position or systems, I can better understand the problem and quicker and more accurately determine a course of action, which then I can start working on that course of action. And in doing so, I forget about any stress. Because the first rule of an emergency is to panic for about 2 seconds. Then the second rule is to determine the problem. Third rule is to find a solution. Fourth rule is to apply the solution. Fifth rule is to determine the resultant action of the solution. Did it cure the problem, right? That's the threat and error management cycle of life, or maybe this way, I don't know how the camera picks it up. So how do you, okay, so let's go over it. Okay, we'll do it again. What are your personal signs of stress and how do you cope with it? All right, my personal signs of stress, I can tell I'm getting stressed because my vision tends to narrow and I can feel my body kind of contracting, and I get a slight feeling of confusion because I'm not exactly sure why I'm stressed or what the cure is. Now, I've known this from experience as I go through emergency training in the aircraft, how to cope with stress. Now, the most important thing to coping with stress is if it can be cured by lengthening, if I'm in a time crunch or I'm task saturated and this is causing stress, I then slow the aircraft down and I delegate tasks to the first officer or other people in my CRM environment. The second thing I do is I gather information to find exactly what the problem is, because once I know the problem, half my stress is reduced. Because if I know the hardest part about stress is it generally occurs because the problem is not identified. You're panicking and you're stressing because the problem is not identified. If, for example, I'm in an unusual attitude and that causes a narrowing of my focus, a tightening up of my muscles, and a slight confusion, if I can figure out that I'm in a bank and I'm nose high and I'm idle thrust, the next thing I do is I understand that I have the problem and I can apply a solution. Lower the nose, roll the aircraft level, ensure I'm not stalling, and apply thrust appropriately to recover from that attitude. Once I've recovered from that attitude, return the aircraft to a state of equilibrium and contact ATC. This mitigates all my stress. That is essentially how I cope with it. Slowing the aircraft down, delegating tasks, gathering information to find out exactly what is stressing me, finding a cure, a plan, and then applying that plan and evaluating that plan after I've implemented to make sure that I've cured the situation. Boom. Do not take this out of the aviation realm. Don't try to make it your answer like, well, when I'm cooking and I have a lot of people over and I'm dovetailing like hash browns and cauliflower and the roast beef and I got the bread and the thing and I get really stressed. Basically, I'm setting a timer and I map it out really good. Don't take it out of aviation realm. They're asking you what kind of a pilot you are. They're not asking you to run a kitchen. So make sure you keep this. Don't shy away. Don't be scared. Deal with it head on and tell them what kind of aviator you are, because you are a great aviator, because already you're listening to AirJobBoss. How can you not be a great aviator? You're constantly improving yourself. And to do that, you need to subscribe to this channel, like it if it's likable, share it if it's shareable. If you don't like what I say, you disagree or want me to answer another question, put it in the comments below. I'm dying to hear from you. Anyway, also go to airjobboss.com if you need help on your next airline. I strongly encourage you get professional preparation before you go to that interview that you really, really want that job. Thank you so much. See you on the next video.